Some doors do not open for the living. Some rooms do not remember the dead. And some love stories begin with a stolen royal seal. And a cat who respected no kingdom. By the time Aveline caught sight of her cat, Moth was dragging the king's seal cord down the archive steps like a conquered snake. The little gold signet bounced behind him, clinking against the stone. "Moth," Aveline said, gathering her skirts. "If His Majesty asks why his royal seal has teeth marks in it, I am naming you as co-conspirator." Moth looked back with the calm of a creature who respected no court, crown, or legal system. Then he ran faster. Behind her, Master Barrow, the head steward, shouted from the archive door, "Miss Aveline! That seal is required before dawn!" "So is my left knee," Aveline called back. "But no one respects that either." Two clerks leapt aside. A maid carrying folded sheets flattened herself against the wall. "Running after a man at last, Miss Aveline?" the maid asked. Aveline did not slow. "If I ever run after a man, Tilly, assume he has stolen state property." Tilly laughed. Aveline followed Moth past the portrait gallery and into the eastern wing, where the air always felt colder and the servants only went when dared. Moth sat at the far end of the corridor with the seal cord beneath one paw. Behind him, where there should have been plain stone, stood a door. It had no handle, only a silver handprint. Aveline stopped. Something in her chest moved before thought could catch it. "Oh," she whispered, "this again." Then she frowned. Again? She had no memory of this door, but missing things were not new to her. 15 years earlier, at 20, she had been found on the northern road with silver dust in her hair, no family, no past she could explain, and the ability to read languages dead men had taken to their graves. The old king had given her a desk in the archives. The court had given her rumors. Now she was 35, unmarried, overeducated, and strange enough that people feared her only when they needed records found quickly. The silver handprint glowed. "If this is a trap," Aveline told Moth, "your betrayal is noted." Moth blinked. Aveline tucked the seal cord into her pocket and touched the mark. The door opened. Inside was a round room filled with moonlight. White flowers lay dried across the floor. A silver comb rested on a chair. A cracked cup sat beside a covered mirror. The air smelled of rain, old paper, and something she almost remembered. A man stood in the center of the room. He was tall and still, dressed in dark blue stitched with silver thread. His silver hair framed a face too beautiful to be human, and his ears tapered to fine points beneath it. "Faye." Aveline raised one ink-stained finger. "Before you begin with anything poetic, I am here because of a cat." The man looked at Moth. Moth walked in, sniffed his boot, and bit it. The man sighed. "Hello, old enemy." Aveline stared. "You know my cat?" "I have known several of your cats." That frightened her more than the door. The man looked back at her. His face softened in a way that made her stomach turn. "You are late," he said. Aveline folded her arms. "You say that as if I had an appointment." "You did." "With a mysterious fae in a room rude enough to appear inside a wall?" "Yes." "That sounds like something I would refuse." "You refuse it every time." The room went quiet. Aveline's fingers tightened around the seal cord. "Name," she said. "Oriel," he answered, "of House Moonvale." His name struck deep, like a bell under water. She did not show it. "I am Aveline," she said. "I know." "You say that badly." "How does one say it badly?" "Like it hurts." Oriel smiled faintly. "It does." Aveline looked around the room again. The comb, the cup, the mirror, the dead flowers. "Explain," she said. "Clearly, I work in records. I charge extra for decorative confusion. Oriel nodded. You were taken beyond the veil as a child, he said. Not by me, not by my house, but you were raised in the moon court. Aveline did not move. You learned our laws, Oriel continued. You learned what bargains cost. You learned never to promise unless you meant to bleed for it. Aveline glanced at her hand. I still hate saying I promise. Yes. And you? I was assigned to guard you. How flattering. Was I dangerous? You were human in a fey court. That was danger enough. Despite herself, Aveline almost smiled. At first, Oriel said, I guarded you because I was ordered to. And later? His voice changed. Later, I asked you to marry me. The answer landed like a dropped glass. Aveline looked at him. Did I agree? Yes. Was I drunk? No. Threatened? No. Temporarily stupid? Oriel's mouth curved. Frequently, but not then. She hated that his humor felt familiar. The covered mirror gave a soft knock. Aveline turned. The cloth slid from the glass. In the reflection, she saw a dark book on a table. Its cover looked like black bark veined with silver. There is a book hidden here, Oriel said. Older than my court, older than this kingdom. It shows different truths to different readers. Most see nothing. Some see one warning. And I? You saw deeper. What did I see? Oriel's answer was simple. You saw where sleeping human magic hides, how it wakes, how it can be drawn across the veil. Aveline's practical mind caught on the danger at once. The moon court wanted that. Yes, and the book showed you an older prophecy as well. What prophecy? That the veil would not weaken first by armies or kings, Oriel said. It would weaken when human magic began to remember itself. Aveline looked at the book in the mirror. So they wanted me to keep reading. They wanted names, bloodlines, places, paths. And I refused. You did. Good, Aveline said. I like myself already. Oriel smiled, but sadly. Refusal was not enough. As long as you remembered what the book showed you, the court could reach for it through bargain, dream, debt, or marriage law. Not here, not without consent. But beyond the veil, they had ways. So I forgot. You locked the knowledge inside a spell of forgetting. You bound the book to this room. You bound me here as guardian. Outside this room, you remember nothing of me, the court, or the book. At full moon, the room opens. Inside it, you remember. And at dawn, you choose to forget again. Aveline sat down hard on the nearest chair. Moth jumped into her lap as if this were all very ordinary. How long? She asked. Oriel held her gaze. 15 years. Aveline laughed once. It was not amusement. 15 years, and my best solution was monthly heartbreak? You suggested others. Were any practical? One involved hiding in a cheese cellar. That sounds practical. With 3 poisoned princes. Less practical. Yes. Aveline touched the silver comb. Memory opened. A moonlit garden beyond the veil. Younger Aveline sat before a black pool while Oriel drew the comb through her long hair. If you pull one knot, she said in the memory, I shall reconsider the engagement. You reconsider it every morning. And yet you stay. Such optimism. Such devotion. Careful, she said. That sounded like poetry. The memory vanished. Aveline was back in the round room with tears in her eyes. She touched the cracked cup. A fey hall, a silver table. The dark book opened beneath her hands. Younger Aveline was shaking. "They will use this to hunt people," she said. Oriel stood beside her, pale with fear. "Then we run. They will follow. I will fight them. You are very beautiful when foolish. This is not the time. That has never stopped us." She touched his face. "I will forget." "No. I will come back. You will not know me." "Then remind me." "Every time? As many times as I need." The memory ended. Aveline sat very still. Oriel watched her from the center of the room. "You agreed?" she asked. "I begged." "And then?" His answer was plain. "Then I loved you enough to obey." Aveline stood too quickly. "Well," she said, blinking hard, "that was extremely inconsiderate of you." Oriel smiled. "You said that last time." "I am consistent. Only inside this room." By dawn, the room had given back more. The garden, the ring, the first kiss beneath silver leaves, the arguments, the laughter, the life she had lived before the human world found her again. By dawn, Aveline knew him. By dawn, she loved him. By dawn, she understood why she had to leave. At the threshold, Oriel took her hand. "No vow," he said. "No bargain," she answered. "No chain. No chain." Then Aveline stepped into the corridor. The door closed. Morning came. She woke at her archive desk with the royal seal cord beside her, Moth asleep on a tax ledger, and no memory of the moonlit room. But there was a folded note in her own handwriting. "Buy better tea before the full moon." Aveline read it twice. Then she looked at Moth. "Is this one of yours?" Moth yawned. Aveline sighed and put the note in her pocket. "Fine, but if I have taken to giving myself errands by moon phase, I expect myself to be more specific." The next day, Tilly found her in the market, testing tea leaves with great suspicion. "Secret admirer?" Tilly asked. Aveline sniffed the tea. "If he exists, he has poor communication skills." "Handsome?" "I do not know." "Rich?" "Judging by my note, thirsty." The next full moon, Moth led her back to the eastern wing. Aveline did not remember the room until the door opened. Then she remembered everything. Oriel was waiting. Aveline held up the tea. "I brought this because Daylight Me takes instructions from ghosts." Oriel looked pleased. "You used to bring tea in the moon court. Was it better there?" "It changed color when insulted." "How exhausting. This one merely tastes like bark." Before dawn, Aveline wrote another note. "Cheese, the soft kind. He pretends not to like it." In the morning, she read it and frowned. "Who is he?" Moth knocked an inkpot off the table. "Not you," she said. "You have never pretended not to like anything." A month later, she brought cheese. When memory returned, Oriel looked at the parcel with solemn pleasure. Aveline narrowed her eyes. "You do like it." "I did not say otherwise." "My note said you pretend." "Your notes are sometimes unkind." "My notes know you better than I do." Oriel's smile faded. Aveline regretted the words at once. Then she handed him the cheese. "Eat faster," she said. "We have limited time for brooding." So the years began. Or perhaps they continued. In the human world, Aveline remained the strange archivist. Master Barrow complained about her filing system, then used it whenever ministers panicked. Tilly married a baker and still came to the archive to gossip. Moth grew fat, then dignified, then old. Every month, Aveline found a note from herself. "Bring cards. Do not let him win. Do not wear the blue shoes. Moonlit tragedy is hard enough without blisters. Do not investigate the white flowers. You already did. You cried. It was embarrassing." Outside the room, she laughed at the notes and obeyed them. Inside the room, she remembered why. At 38, she taught Oriel a human card game. He won twice. Aveline put down her cards. "You are cheating." "I am not. That means less from a fae than from a spoon." Oriel looked offended. "I have never cheated at cards." "Have you read Moonlight reflected on the backs?" He paused. Aveline pointed at him. "Outrageous!" "I did not know that counted." "That is the slogan of your entire species." At 43, the first white strand appeared in her hair. Oriel noticed. Aveline noticed him noticing. "If you mourn one hair," she said, "I will cut them all and make you admire the result." "I was thinking it suited you." "That is suspiciously wise." "I have had years of training. Fear is an excellent tutor." At 47, Moth died. Aveline did not remember all the secret doors he had found, all the papers he had ruined, all the times he had bitten Oriel's boot. But on the next full moon, when memory returned, she carried the old cat's collar into the room. Oriel took it carefully. "He was a vicious creature," he said. "He loved you." "He drew blood." "As I said." They buried the collar beneath the dead white flowers. The next month, Daylight Aveline found a note that said, "Adopt the gray kitten. Do not ask why." She did. The kitten was named Ink and proved worse than Moth in every measurable way. At 52, Aveline came into the room limping. Oriel moved toward her so quickly that the old boundary struck him back. "I am not dying," she said. "I slipped on the archive stairs." "I hate stairs." I said the same thing, with more language. He watched her lower herself into a chair. "I could take you away," Oriel said. Aveline knew they had had this argument before. This time she only smiled. "And make me what? A kept human in a fae house? A memory rescued from time?" "My wife," he said. The room quieted. Aveline reached for his hand. "I am your wife here," she said. "Once a month. No witnesses, no priest, no court, no contract." "That is not enough." "No," Aveline said, "but it is ours." At 59, she forgot more during the day. Names, dates, why she had opened a drawer. The young clerks whispered kindly now, which was worse than being mocked. Tilly, round-faced and silver-streaked, brought her soup without making a joke. Aveline looked at the bowl. "Careful," she said. "If you are kind to me, I shall suspect you want my position." Tilly snorted. "I would rather marry a goat." "Less paperwork." "Exactly." Every full moon the door still opened. Every full moon Aveline stood straighter. Every full moon she remembered Oriel's name before he said it. At 68 she brought no books, no cheese, no cards. She only entered the room and leaned into Oriel's arms. "You are quiet," he said. "I spend my days with apprentices who believe ink was invented for them," Aveline said. "Silence has become a luxury item." He kissed her white hair the same way he had once kissed the dark. At 73, Aveline said, "People think I wasted my life." Oriel sat beside her. "Did you?" She considered. In the human world, she had no husband, no children, no portrait in the great hall. Only archives arranged so well that generations of ministers would curse her standards and depend on them. Only cats, only rumors, only a room that found her when the moon was full. "No," she said. "I think I hid it very successfully." At 81, Aveline came to the eastern wing with a cane. The newest cat, a rude orange thing named Ledger, refused all mystical architecture and preferred the kitchens. Aveline approved of his priorities. The silver handprint glowed when she touched it. The door opened. Oriel was waiting. He always was. This time, when memory returned, it came softly, like a shawl settling around tired shoulders. Aveline remembered the child taken beyond the veil, the girl raised in moonlit courts, the woman who read the ancient book, the bride who chose forgetting, the archivist who had lived with one hidden night in every month, and Oriel. Always Oriel. He took her hands. The old boundary was gone now. It had weakened with her. Or perhaps it had grown merciful. "You are early," Aveline said. "I was afraid you would not come. I have been coming for more than half my life. I dislike breaking habits." Aveline touched his face. He had not aged in the human way. His ears were still finely pointed, his eyes were still moon-pale. But grief had changed him. Patience had changed him. Love had changed him. "You watched me grow old," she said. "I watched time love you. That was almost too pretty. I prepared it for decades." "Keep it, then." He helped her to the chair by the table. The book lay there closed and dark. Aveline looked at it for a long time. "I never opened it again." "No." "Good." "Yes." "When I die, the lock ends." Oriel's hand tightened around hers. "Aveline, I am an archivist," she said gently. "I prefer accurate records." He lowered his head. "When I die," she continued, "you will be free. I do not want freedom from you." "No, but you will have it." The room was silent. Then Aveline said, "Do not take the book to them." "I will not." "Do not let a king use it." "I will warn him." "Not too much." A faint smile touched her mouth. "Kings are like cats. Tell them too much, and they hear a challenge." Oriel laughed once, brokenly. She leaned against him. For a while they did not speak. There was no need to fill the room. They had filled it for years. Near dawn, Aveline opened her eyes. "I used to fear I had been alone," she said. Oriel held her closer. "You were never alone." "I know that now." The first gray light touched the door. For more than 60 years, dawn had taken him from her. This time, it took nothing. Aveline died before the sun rose. She died with Oriel's hand in hers, with her head against his shoulder, with every full moon of her hidden life gathered close. In the castle below, servants woke. Fires were lit. Bread was baked. Clerks discovered that Miss Aveline had not come to the archive and began to worry, though none of them could say why the room felt emptier before they knew. In the eastern wing, Oriel held her until the moonlight faded. Then the door opened. Not only for her, for the world. The book remained on the table. For the first time in decades, nothing hid it. Oriel stood before it. He could have taken it. The moon court would have praised him, feared him, rewarded him. He left it where Aveline had chosen to leave it. By evening, the king received him in a private chamber. This was not the old king who had first given Aveline a desk in the archives. That king had been dead for many years. This was his son, younger, newly worn by crowns, councils, and fatherhood. From beyond the chamber door came the quick, bright sound of children arguing. "Mia, give it back!" A nursemaid whispered for quiet. The king glanced toward the sound, then back at the stranger in moon-dark clothes. "You knew my archivist," the king said. "I loved her," Oriel answered. The king did not mock him. Perhaps grief made truth visible. Oriel gave him a folded letter. The king opened it. Aveline's handwriting was sharp, even in old age. "Your Majesty, if the man who brings this asks you to close the eastern room, listen to him. For once, I am not being dramatic." The king read it twice. Then he looked up. "What is in that room?" "A book," Oriel said. "Older than my court. Older than your kingdom. It shows each reader only what it chooses. Sometimes a warning. Sometimes a temptation. Sometimes a fate no one is ready to understand. Why leave it here? Because she chose your world over mine." The king was silent. Oriel stepped closer. Lock the room. Tell your children nothing. Tell your servants less. If anyone asks, say the eastern wing is unsafe. Is it? Yes. For whom? For the curious. The king folded Aveline's letter. And if the book must be opened one day? Oriel looked toward the window, where the northern forest waited beyond the walls. Then pray it is opened by someone brave enough to choose mercy over fear. The king gave the order before midnight. The eastern door was sealed. 3 words were carved into the wood. Do not enter. At the edge of the northern forest, Oriel turned back once. The castle stood dark against the snow. Somewhere inside it, Aveline's archive would remain in perfect order. Her cats would become legend among the kitchens. Her name would fade into the kind of story servants told when candles burned low. Poor Miss Aveline, they would say. Strange Miss Aveline. Lonely Miss Aveline. Oriel smiled through his grief. They would never know. She had not been lonely. She had been loved under every full moon of her life. Then he stepped through the veil and carried the memory of her home.